What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of reView. I am your host, PLD, here on the PLD Projects Network. With me, as always, my compadre, my compatriot, my co-pilot, something like that, whatever you want to call her. Lego, how are you doing?
Oh, PLD, I've spent the past 2 hours drinking coffee and eating no-dos in the basement, and I'm ready to be your motivational speaker for this evening.
Interestingly enough, we always talk about the episode a little bit to the point of like 10 minutes, and we're kind of like, we should just actually start recording this because we're talking too much about the episode. And spoiler alert, you keep telling me that you really like this episode, even though I came in the beginning saying this is probably one of my least favorite episodes to a degree.
We're in total disagreement, man. I
Oh,
loved
that's
it. I had a blast. I have so many questions.
Well, I will say I did have a blast. I do have fun with this episode, but to me, it's a this is so bad it's funny kind of thing in a way. But we'll definitely
I
get
think
there.
I think this is what the show needs to be. And I wrote down I felt it was very similar to like the A-Team or Cowboy Bebop, where we're
Mm,
kind of going to like different places as we'll
mm,
establish in a few minutes. We're going to different places, we're getting to know kind of some of the characters in that area or in that situation. And then, we're like bounty hunters, man. We're going to the next place, the next episode to learn about those people. And we're getting these kind of like minute but like very deep stories for each episode. That allows it to be episodic, bringing really great guests, so we can keep the budget hopefully a little low, which is apparently seems to be what they're having trouble doing. But I think that tells a overall bigger overarching story and gives
mm.
us a better idea of like what's going on all over the world.
I do like what you're saying. I do agree to some degree. Obviously, this is the first real episode after the call. Ham and Robin and Chris left during the 2 episodes ago. Last episode was Charles's last episode. Also, Howard K. Smith is no longer. This was the first episode we had without the Freedom Network opening.
Oh, and I just watched a documentary that Howard K. Smith, they used some archival footage of him. And I was like, no.
Teasing you, as it were. But it's also, I didn't really think about it this way when I was watching it through. They almost have to go this route now because we have no real basis of operations. We have no more Science Frontiers. We have no Club
We
Creo.
have
We
the
have a
movie
movie
studio.
studio, but that feels like not a place that you would base. Like it almost felt like it was too open of an area for them to really base a lot of things on.
Yeah, I think we're in
Um,
agreement. They should be Ninja Turtles.
Yes, they have to be in, and that's what it is. It feels like it's outside of LA anyway. So we're outside of LA. What are we doing in LA? So
Listen, California has so many caves. You have options.
that's what they. I mean, I honestly think they should have been the LA Ninja Turtles for sure. Um, we did have the opening, the new opening now that we're post call, and I got to tell you, I actually do like the new opening. You didn't. We are on opposite side of the fence every time. I love the music. The music actually reminds me back of the Final Battle days. So I like the music coming in, gives me that horror vibe. Although I will agree, it almost doesn't fit the tone anymore of the show, which is kind
Yeah,
of a
I
problem.
also so it's a different opening. They have were those I mean, some of the shots I recognized, some of them
Mhm.
I feel like were new shots where it's like the same ship just superimposed over different major cities.
That's some of it, yes.
And then they have a narrator. I don't know who's doing the voice. But it felt kind of dumb. It was like Mike Donovan and Julie Paris, skeptical of the visitors infiltrate their ranks. And then like 5 minutes later, because this is the longest freaking intro on the planet,
Right?
he says a second line. Like it took
Yes.
way too long. He said the resistance and all that stands between us and the
Us and the
visitors.
visitors.
And it's dude, that's just the editing is just not great on that one. We should have reworked
Oh,
it, rethought
oh,
it, redid it.
disagree. I love the 80s feel, like the 80s trailer guy doing an episode, so it made me feel nice at home. Um,
Don LaFontaine, the voice guy, would never have done this with work.
well, we don't have the budget for Don Fontaine, Lego, so we have to
How
go.
who was the other
We
guy?
have to go dollar store version. Oh, I know your name. I know you're talking about. I don't know their names
Whoever
though.
he was, Hal, whatever, he wouldn't have done this either.
All right, so it's dime store trailer voice. Either way,
Don
I
LaFontaine. Is it sad
I
that I just know his name? Like I
it is.
definitely know the voice guy. Off the top of my head, drop of a dime. Of course I know Don
That's
LaFontaine.
impressive. That's impressive, actually. I do appreciate that. I appreciate that in you. We got a little trivia here on our show because of you, and so I definitely appreciate that.
I played a trivia game. I won Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 on Blu-ray. I'm so happy about it.
That is nice. That's a good gift. That's a good prize, rather to say.
I mean, there were some other movies, but I was like, I don't care about those ones. I want that one.
I have to watch that again. I haven't watched that one a lot. I watched the original recently, but I haven't gotten a chance to.
Well, I mean, if you watched your original, you've watched about half of that one.
That's true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong in that matter. But all right. So, but what I was saying is that you are right in terms of it does get us out into the field more, and you're going to find that more as we go on. Like next episode is also very much in the field kind of episode. So I do like that as well to see different resistances and everything else. However, the problem seems to become that they don't know how to do this show on the low budget. They've cut their budget. They're not sure how to do it. So everything still feels a lot smaller than you'd want it to. There's low budget like films and stuff that have been made that it feels epic. You know, it's like a like post-apocalyptic society with very little people in it. It still feels epic. This kind of still feels smaller. And I feel like that's the main problem with the second half of the season at this point, because they have like very limited in terms of shots where they can use. There's a hell of a lot more recycled footage as we go through.
Oh, I noticed quite a bit this time.
In your favorite sequence, I'm sure I've been holding back to the sequence for you.
Battle. Oh yeah.
I have questions about that one too. But I do like, again, I like this show for the most of the thing. I like a lot of the concepts. I just don't like a lot of the execution.
Yeah,
and
so
the details matter.
Writing, they make choices. Absolutely. I don't know if they're the right or wrongs. So, wait, okay, real logic question here.
Yeah, let's do it.
How much do we think budget-wise went to Diana's costuming? Specifically, what was the glitter budget?
I think that's why the show had to go off the air eventually. There was just too much glitter being used by Diana at this point.
I mean, really, they kept Party City. I'm assuming that's where they got it in business.
They actually are. I think they're sponsors. I think they were the number one business partner of. I'm sure they actually sponsored the show. If you ever look, maybe they cut that on the DVD or Blu-ray or the streaming services. Back in the day, they must have said something about Party City sponsoring the show. Because
100%. But I mean, also, and I mentioned this before, that the actual film stock looked far more degraded than previous episodes, and the audio quality was not where it was in previous episodes, which I guess is an easy thing to cut, but the worst thing to cut.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I don't know, I'm not very good at the technical stuff of the silver screen and the TVs. I don't know what is good and what's not good. I'm not that kind of person. But I fully agree with you that I feel like that's what they decide to do. We need to cut the budget. We're going to cut everything no matter what it is. And then it just looks cheap. And that's part of the problem. V always looked, back in the day, it was on when it was on a miniseries on NBC, it looked like a feature film pretty much on NBC. Sure, some of the special effects were a little not quite, like Diana's throat opening up when she ate the guinea pig was not quite film level, but it still was a lot better than what we're getting at this point. This whole thing just feels like it's cheaper. It's like a student version of V, and that's actually denigrating to student films, because student films sometimes would look better. But I agree, it's kind of sad what you're watching at this point. It's a tragedy. But.
Well, I know, film is very expensive. I mean, obviously, we're talking in the 80s, so we're talking about literal physical celluloid film.
Right.
And trading off to get either a cheaper brand, or if you're going from like a 33 to a 17 or 22 or something. But I mean, in terms of the color grading and stuff, it just seemed really off. And I feel like that's kind of the worst choice to cut something, because that's, if someone's I mean, obviously there were less channels back then, but if someone's, flipping through channels, I feel like that's just not going to catch their attention. They're more likely to flip away if something doesn't literally look good.
I agree. I do. One thing I wanted to note, I remember I read that book, Fascist Lizard from Outer Space, that I got on Amazon. It's great. It's a great book about all the backgrounds. They actually they had a lot of interviews with some of the older showrunners and things of that nature. And they actually stated that they made more, they were trying to make, starting with this episode, They're trying to make more of an emphasis on science fiction themes and less on soap opera tropes. And they actually employed science fiction consultants who were brought on board to salvage the show from its declining ratings. I see that and I kind of look at this episode. I'm kind of like,
Did they work on Star
where?
Trek? Because I got a reference here, all bold. Callie
Huh?
Fee. We'll talk about it when we get
Huh?
there.
Okay, maybe that might be one of the camera. I'm not sure. Um, but I still thought there's enough soap opera elements in this to still have that. I thought there was still, I guess, some science fiction tropes, but there's one big trope which we're going to get to when we get there, obviously, because despite a cull of characters, we do have a return of an actor at this point. But
Oh, PLD, you don't think that's a soap trope?
that's a double trope. That's a soap and sci-fi trope together. To be
That
honest
is the most soap thing to ever exist. If
what
you
a
say, do
lazy
you know a
thing.
singular trope from a telenovela? And if they don't say someone is back from the dead or has an evil twin, then they watch too many soaps.
To be fair, it's not an evil twin. It's not an evil twin.
Okay, I was hoping for a mustachioed evil twin.
They should have given it to him. They should have given him a
I
mustache,
was a
quite
little
frankly.
disappointed, but I wrote all bold OMG, and then there was a space, and I felt the need to write OD. OMG, OD. I couldn't even process. I'm like, it's Martin. No, it's Philip. They're brothers. They're twins. And they forgot that the visitors are in makeup.
I have a whole notice on this. You know what? I'll bring it up now. I'm gonna bring because we already have it up there. I was gonna save it for that, but like, oh my god, when that happens, I actually wrote, "What is the fucking logic?" Quote: "The resemblance between you and your brother is uncanny. Martin and I were developed from a mutual zygote." Who cares? You're wearing a mask.
Yes. I need him. I need the scene where he went to the makeup artist, which we finally see.
We do. I
And he
noticed that. I
says,
thought of you. I
I
forgot
I
about that.
want you to pull up the human skin that you gave my brother Martin, and I want the same one.
Because I am
Exactly
twin,
the
so might
same.
as well go for the same everything. I mean, that would be like somebody like walking around with a Michael Myers mask, then coming up and like another person wearing a Michael Myers mask and saying, "Oh
You
my
mean like
God,
Ben
they're
Tramer?
twins." Like Ben Tramer is Michael Myers' twin, exactly. By V
And you
logic,
wanna know who their
Ben
evil
Tramer.
twin is?
Tell me.
William Shatner. Although there is an evil twin episode of Star Trek, it's very good.
I think I saw that one actually. Do you remember that one? Did it have mustaches involved?
Yes.
I believe it did. Yes.
It
Okay. Okay.
did.
That's what I'm thinking of. I think I would have forgiven all the lapses of logic if Philip had a killer mustache. I actually absolutely would have, no doubt. Um, but yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. I I I love having Frank Ashmore back. I like Frank Ashmore. I think it was nice to see him. Um, even though it smells of desperation, it smells of like we know you like this character, we're going to bring him back, and because you complained about it when he died, and but we can't bring him back, so we'll bring him back close enough. But yeah. Well, we'll get there as we go into the rest of the story as it goes. We'll have more to say about Philip as we go on. Let's go back to the beginning and take this through beat by beat now. As we go, we open up with Donovan and Vegan Ham driving around weapons with a pickup truck and delivering it to the Tucson Resistance when they're pulled over by cops in the backwoods. And I got to be honest with you, I felt the same way that Donovan said. You got to be kidding me. Half the world's falling apart and they're handing out tickets.
I mean, they got quotas.
That's what they do. They do.
But horror movies have taught me if you're out in the backwoods and you're pulled over by a cop, they're definitely a harbinger of doom, or they're in on it, run away.
Any kind of horror movie, absolutely, that's the way this is. V is horror adjacent. I mean, obviously that intro felt like an horror movie intro or horror series
It
intro.
was horrific.
Wow. Wow, there. Hold yourself. Check yourself there. Um, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So I get the cops come down, and we find out, okay, they're not looking for a ticket, they're looking for tolls, which makes more sense. Okay, so they're like a
They're
martial law of their own town.
collaborators.
Collaborators who are going to be taking on the weapons of people going by a toll road. I kind of like that lore. I kind of like that. Okay, that makes sense that America's turned into a toll road place, and all the small towns are kind of fending for themselves in this area, trying to cut their own deal with the lizards, as it were. Um, this guy, I don't know if it was you, even though he's a big bearded muscle guy, he still reminded me in action and in the way he spoke of Roscoe P. Coltrane from Dukes of Hazzard. Not in the first sequence, but everything else when he's talking to Big John Rowland, he's this big. Oh, you don't know, so you never watched Dukes of Hazzard.
Did I watch? No.
Okay, fair enough. That was a show in the 80s, just like V at the time. We're actually right around the same time. I watched it all the time. Big, dumb, goofy sheriff. I mean, Roscoe's a lot goofier. You couldn't get away with that, but he's a big dummy, and he has a big dummy boss that's going to get outwitted by our heroes every week.
Well, Roland, I definitely recognize is Hugh Gillen, who, of course, is the mayor in Back to the Future 3. He's the sheriff in Psycho, and Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Yes, that is absolutely true. And Big John Rowland.
Also, in an episode of Wise Guy, very underrated 80s television series.
That's a show I actually, from the age I haven't watched. I've heard a lot about it. I never actually watched it as a kid.
So I think all the seasons were kind of breaking down into 2 major arcs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's either the back half of the first season or the first half of the second season is like so unrealistically good television.
Really?
Like so it's about an undercover cop, and the first season is just kind of your standard kind of like he's kind of going undercover with the mob. But I like that it's not each episode is him undercover at a different thing. It's he's long term there for like half of a season. So like this, so the second arc they do is with an actor who's got a very horrible reputation now. One Kevin Spacey. But I mean, the show is written so well, and it's got I'm completely blanking on his name. Oh, he was in V. He was the cop.
Brad. He's in it. Okay.
Yes, he's the dad in Boy Meets World.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and he's in it for quite a bit of the show, and he plays kind of a badass. A lot nicer than Brad, though.
Okay.
But I watched it because of I don't know if you watched. Did you watch Highlander the show?
Oh, I didn't watch it all throughout, but I definitely watched it bits and pieces of it.
So the actor who plays the Watcher, Joe Dawson, he's in it, and I watched it mainly for him.
That makes sense.
Oh, and I think the guy from one of the famous guys from Breaking Bad's in it. I didn't watch that show though.
Yes, Jonathan Banks is in that. That's right. I remember seeing that. I love Jonathan Banks. He's a great actor.
Yeah. Anyway, so fantastic cast, great show.
Mark Singer also. Well, that's one of the reasons I watched Highlander. Also, was Mark Singer made an appearance at one point. So.
Yes, he did. He played Jacob.
Yes.
He did a really weird thing with his voice, but seeing the Beastmaster in the Highlander fight, top tier episode. And he tried to abduct Tessa, which was kind of weird. And I did feel bad that the child that he abducted and clearly abused did end up dying, which hurt his feelings.
Yeah, that's it. It hurt everybody's feelings. Let's be honest.
But he did give Highlander a run for his money.
He did. Yeah.
I think he used a battle axe to fight too, which was fun, if I remember correctly.
That
sounds right. Do you want to know too much about Highlander the series? Perhaps.
Maybe that'll be a show we do next, because I actually haven't watched it like as much as you have easily, but I would like to go back and do it.
BLD, the way I want to talk about mythos, we could be here all night. We could be here all month. I have a whole thing on mythos. It's PLD.
I know when you say my name that you are so intense on something, and I just have to like smile and let you go for a minute, because you'll get there. I love it.
Jason Isaacs was in an episode, the first episode that Amanda appears in, because he was her former lover who they were in the circus together, but he escaped prison because she'd had him arrested. I assume he has been, like, trained at fencer. He was so good.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
everyone else on the show should be embarrassed.
Wow.
Like, what a good sword fighter. Now, every time I see him, I'm just like, "Oh, is he gonna pick up a sword? Come on, Lucius Malfoy. Fight,
Loved him in The Patriot. Yeah, you know what? That actually tracks very well for me because he feels like a guy that could handle the sword very well. I don't remember seeing him in Highlander, so I'd have to watch that episode. So um,
Now, you wanna
I
talk
love
about a
Days
show I
Amazing.
know. Let's talk about the 7 episodes of Hugh Fitzcairn. Yes, that's right. The lead singer of The Who, Roger Daltrey.
Again, something I have never watched. So
Darius, I can go all day on Darius. Thank you.
I think we're just gonna have to, instead of doing a show on a specific game, maybe we should just do a show where you introduce me to all these really highly unknowable shows that I should have seen back in the day.
Um, you thought I could talk about 21 Jump Street? PLD. I could talk
Got
about
it.
Highlander all day.
All right. Well, this is not Highlander. We'll get to that. Maybe you know what we'll do
Yeah,
it when the Highlander reboot comes out. Maybe we'll do a whole shtick on Highlander or whatever. The
if
whole
Henry
thing around
Cavill
there.
is in a Highlander reboot, I'll flip a table. I'm gonna be so mad about it.
You know what though? I like Chad Stahelski as a director for the John Wick series, so I think he's saying all the right things about the show, about the movie for me. So I don't know. I
But
don't
not
know.
about the casting.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Henry Cavill better be a freaking Turgan.
He does seem like he would be a better Turgan.
Kurgan.
Yeah,
Kurgan.
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 A Turden?
He's a turd.
I do think he would make a better Kurgan. I agree with you there, to be completely honest with you. But I always wanted to see some. I don't know who I'd want to see. Who would you want to see? No, we're not going to get into. We're not going down this trail. Not going down this trail yet.
I had a name. It's fine.
All right, go ahead. Throw it out there.
The dude from Saltburn.
Oh, okay. Very cute.
He's
Very
Scottish,
cute.
right? Or is he Irish?
Oh.
Well, there's another kid. I
He's
don't know
Irish.
his name. I'm not great with names, to be honest.
Okay.
He was in all of those Disney Descendants movies. He's definitely very Scottish. He's in his early 20s. Okay, that's what we need. We
I
need
believe
someone
that's
because
Thomas
Highlander,
Dolby.
he was supposed to have died when he was quite young. It's the
Yeah.
1500s, guys. He's not going to be a 40-year-old jacked dude, Henry Cavill.
Wow, you're very angry at Henry
I don't
Cavill.
think you
I feel like.
understand my hatred of Man of Steel, and it just really biases me.
I guess so.
He's
And we
been
should
in
never have that
one movie I
conversation
liked.
because I love Man of Steel, but we're not going to talk about that right now.
Like, I get they're never gonna now they're definitely never gonna do a follow-up to Man from U.N.C.L.E. I didn't watch that show, but I really liked that movie.
I did too, and that's one of the ones they should have done a follow-up on. The Nice Guys is another one I really wish they did a follow-up on.
He's not in The Nice
Um,
Guys, but I love The Nice Guys.
I know he's not in the Nice Guys, but the Man from U.N.C.L.E. and that Nice Guys were around the same area, the same time of release. That's what I'm kind of thinking of.
And now I've seen the Argyle advertisement about 5,000 times, and I'm very aware he's in that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping it's good because I actually love Matthew Vaughn, but I just want to get him out of the Kingsman now because he's kind of stuck in that rut.
Is
But I
that part of the Kingsman?
I don't think it is. That's why I'm
Okay.
happy that's
I
not
was
part of
saying
the
because this
Kingsman.
movie looks like Jewel of the Nile, Lost
Right.
City,
That's
like
what
one
it to
of
me
those.
too. I've loved him, but he's kind of gotten trapped into doing all these Kingsman movies now. I'm kind of do something else. I
I've
love
only seen the first one, but I'm
Stardust.
told I would like the one that Rasputin is in.
I have that's the one I haven't seen as well. PJ, my friend, hates it, but I don't know. We don't always agree.
Well, AJ recommended. AJ,
fits you very well.
yeah.
AJ Lancaster fits you very well. That's true.
And
all
we
right,
haven't even talked about the opening scene.
let's bring it back.
So,
here.
yeah, Donovan gets into the fight with the cop who pulled them over.
Right.
Okay, right.
Beardo, yeah,
Yeah, and then
Beardo.
they get back into their vehicles, and there's a chase. I don't understand why the police still have their sirens on at this point, but okay. Now this is very important to me. The
Okay.
police shoot the tire. It looks like the front tire. I don't understand the physics of that, but I'm going to go with it. And I feel like they wanted to catch the rim of the tire, which has fallen off because of the bullet, rolling like they did in that one episode, and they're never going to get that shot again. Stop
No.
trying. Stop reminding me of a better scene.
Yes, you got lucky. I mean, we did get that. They did recapture it that once, kinda, but it wasn't as good. Remember, there was another scene. I think it was Kyle.
They
It was Kyle's
tried,
kid.
but
They
it's
tried.
still, you're
It was,
reminding me of a better scene.
yeah,
Movie making 202. Don't
right.
remind your audience of something better.
That you did before, and you only did it better, right?
Or
Because
don't
diminishing
remind them of a
returns.
better movie. I see that a lot.
Diminishing returns every time.
True, true.
Um, so there's a firefight between Donovan, Kyle, and the cops when all of a sudden Kathy Courtney shows up. We don't know her name. She's just a mysterious woman on a
Sexy
horseback.
redhead on a horse. That's right. We're getting an equestrian savior.
That's true. And she catches them in a crossfire. And I gotta say, it's very funny to me. One of my favorite moments of the episode, subtle moment. Donovan and Kyle see her coming up, walking up. Kyle starts going towards her. Donovan stops him and pushes him back so that he could go to her.
I wrote and underlined flirting ?
Oh,
This
yeah,
was a
Donovan's all
very
in.
flirty episode.
Donovan had a smile on his face a mile wide. He is all in.
And we'll get more into that.
Yeah, him and
But
Julie
just
are
so
gotta
you
be done.
know,
Gotta be done at this point.
I've renamed Donovan Donovan for this
Oh, he's got a name.
episode.
That makes a lot of
And
sense.
we do get a reference to a child who has no name.
Does he not mention the name at all? Does he not?
Nope, just a son.
Okay.
Just one singular child.
This was the moment I would bring, because remember you said something how he never talked about it again. I said there was one episode that he does bring him up again, and it is this one. Although he doesn't really bring him up, he's kind of forced into it by Jesse, really. But
we'll get into his potential future daughter.
yeah, that's for sure. But yes, this is definitively Donovan flirting. The stop Kyle.
Julie who?
Smile. Yeah, Julie.
We don't know her.
We barely know her in this episode for sure.
She's back in LA.
What happens in wherever they
20
are.
episodes ago.
Whatever happens in wherever they are stays in wherever they are. But I do like Kyle actually smiling knowingly too. So he's like pushes him back. I was like, you.
Well, he has Elizabeth, and their relationship is much more important.
True, of course. Yeah, he'll need that. So
I couldn't call her Jennifer because I couldn't remember her name. I was really tired, which is why I had my second cup of coffee.
That's a good point. Okay. Well, they trade up. She's going to trade a help to get the truck out of the ditch and fixing a tire in order to trade for a few of their weapons.
And this is where I wrote this. This is now like the A-team.
It really is. This is actually a very A-team drop. I have a feeling that some of them were doing that right away. Oh, my cat. My cat, by the way, is in heat. I have a junior kitten in heat, and that's what they do when they're in heat for 4 or 5 days. Sounds like a visitor, doesn't it?
Is horrific.
It sounds like a horror story. It really does. That's what it does. Every once in a while, she'll just go on that for like a minute and a half, and then.
I don't like cats. They're weird, man.
They're very strange. I'm not gonna lie. That's why the visitors eat cat poison on their mothership.
Speaking of, we cut to Diana walking down the mothership with a white box. And this is one of those scenes. I guess there are a couple scenes where I felt the editing was weird. They show her walking for like 36 seconds. What are you doing? What are you doing?
That is a great question.
Cut away.
You don't need this.
Weird. Very strange. Very strange.
I don't know if they're trying to like
build suspense. A lot of it seemed like padding.
What's in the box? Like we were talking about Kevin Spacey earlier. Now, what's in the box? From Seven, but it seems very needless at this point. But we get into the prison cell, so to speak. And Lydia, my God, that's quite an interesting prison outfit, I gotta say. For alien race.
Rough.
Yes, indeed. And actually, you talked about Star Trek. This looks like a Star Trek prison outfit, to be honest with you. This big belt kind of thing that holding them in. Gray thing with like writing in here.
I don't remember anything like that. Nothing is coming to my mind.
I don't know why I thought that way, but I kind of felt like, I don't know, maybe it's the light on the cells with the light on the belt. I don't know what it is. Just felt like a whole Star Trekian kind of thing for me. I could be wrong.
Nothing comes to mind.
So we get more Diana versus Lydia. Back and forth. I know ho hum at this point for you.
They should have just had her final appearance be in the last episode.
You know what? I don't think you're wrong. They would have had to make up another reason for Philip to be there, I guess. But it does. There's
Superior
nothing.
officer.
Lydia is not needed anymore, and it's really become kind of a tired act for her.
Oh, it's been tired for a while.
I do like the offering of the scorpion. That's nice. That she has eat scorpion. I like that. But that's really about it. I do have a question though about this, even though I'm jumping the scene. I don't know the next time, but it's just coming to mind now. When Lydia throws the scorpion tail at Diana, why is she jumping back like she's like she has a suit on? She's got the human skin on. How is this stinger going to affect her at all?
Yeah, and I also don't think that it would still have any
Juice?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Because
But either way,
it's TV, PLD. It's TV.
That's fair. Okay. Okay, so we go back to the house where Donovan and Kyle
Ranch.
The
For a home cooked meal.
There's obviously more flirting there. Kyle interrupts, of course, right at the moment where Donovan is about to score some major points with her, I guess, I felt like. But as always. But that's when he gets to introduce to Jesse, this is such a bad introduction. I'm sorry. When she opens the door, it has the gun in their faces. Donovan and Kyle do this like high school stage, like whatever you say. It's so bad.
That's kind of the whole show, PLD.
But it's not as blatant. This is like the most blatant version of that. I feel like it's Jeff Yeager at his worst. We're not. It's so bad. I rewatched it like 3 times because I was like, it's not as bad as I think it is it? Yes.
I thought it was funny.
It's not funny.
So I'm going to be very honest. I got a little distracted in this scene because all my notes after we get the introduction of Jesse just says Donovan's pants are so tight. There's something about horses, I think, and lacking a leader who might be named something.
Roland is the leader of the bad
I got it
guys.
the second time around.
Okay, there you go.
And apparently the visitors eat horses, which is very Nope. The film Nope.
And you're right. They're giving horses away to the visitors. That's the deal that Roland made, I guess, giving horses away.
Later, it's the lizard tax.
Yes, that's what it is. It's a nice dinner they have. It's nice to actually see them sitting down at dinner. I don't think we ever see that in this show. Like they're never eating, so it's kind of interesting.
Very family-like. They say a prayer before the meal. I think Kyle and Donovan are both longing for this type of relationship in a way that none of the other characters are, which is why I think it was good to pair them together for this storyline.
I agree with that because they're probably the ones who had that mostly for the most part.
I'll emphasize that later with the one singular scene with Julie. And this is why we have Donovan.
Donovan, indeed. All right, so we jump over to Roland and Carnes. That's Carnes is the Roscoe P. Coltrane I was talking about earlier, Beardo, if you will. Roland is pretty much just as stupid as Carnes, but he kind of acts like he's smarter and comes off like he's smarter, but he's really just as dumb. He's a small town hick at this point.
He's just an old man trying to get by.
That's true. He reminds me of like a dumber Lee Brackett, basically. That's what I kind of got out of him. Not as good as Lee Brackett. Dumber Lee Brackett.
Dare you insult the name of Sheriff Lee Brackett?
I said a dumber version of him.
How dare you?
I love Lee Brackett.
You get out of here, PLD.
Lee Brackett is one of my favorite characters. I think but he's in over his head, just like Roland is. You're telling me Lee Brackett's not in over his head with Michael Myers?
Yeah, but he's no Roland.
No, that's why, because Roland's a dumber version of him. He's a worse version.
No. Lee Brackett is no Roland. He's not going to sell out people. There are families in this neighborhood lined up, and you're telling me, I don't remember the rest of the line, that
Yes, I know what you're
You
saying.
know what I meant. I'm saying I wasn't prepared. I didn't write that down in my notes. Listen, I went on a whole thing about Highlander and Wise Guy and 21 Jump Street. I can't remember everything. We have so much room.
I'm pushing you to go for more, but you're exceeding my expectations still. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
404 error.
Well, that's why I said dumber. Okay, I didn't say he was. So anyway, moving on. Moving on.
What is the line?
I gotta find it. I don't know. No, I'm not gonna do it.
It's gonna bother me. It's gonna bother me so much.
Anyway, so we got forth the aforementioned the scorpion tail line. Lydia's not going to kill herself. Obviously, Diana wanted her to kill herself and save her the trial. We jump back, and Donovan and Kyle are about to move out. Donovan, they kind of try to get Donovan to stay by saying that they have no resistance leader here. There's no one that can help them. But if someone like Donovan stayed, Donovan could make a difference. And Donovan's like, that's not going to happen. He's got stuff he's got to do. Well, of course, Karn shows up as another firefight to be had right as Donovan is being pushed by Courtney to stay. And that's when Donovan does his first good jump of the episode, grabbing Courtney and diving like head first past some bushes. Bush dive number 1, go Mike. Then Kyle and Jesse join the gunfight, eventually drive them off. But it's enough for Donovan to say, you know what? I got to stick around and help this crew out, help this family out. Kyle, you make the shipment run to Tucson, and then you meet me back in a couple days. I'll take care of business here because I'm Captain America.
And you know why? Because he's adamant. But wait, that Captain America thing. I'm going to talk about how tight his pants are again later. But when I tell you this, Chris Evans versus Mike Donovan. Mike Donovan is America's ass.
Mike Donovan is America's ass. You know what? I could go with that. I could completely go with that at this point. He's definitely got everything about him. He's got the horseback riding thing. I know you love that as well. Donovan is Donovan at this point. I agree. All right, so we jump to the sham trial. What do you think about the sham trial?
PLD. PLD. I wrote down so many times. Okay, so we have this trial. We have like 3 lizard judges, and they're I say lizard specifically because they're not in their like human makeup.
Right. Yep.
I'm just calling it makeup now. We get a verdict. Like Diana's really like forcing them to like to go for the verdict. And while Lydia's like, I'm innocent, there's laws, it's against the code, blah, blah, blah. And the 3 lizards find her guilty and sentence her to death, and they prepare her immediately for execution. The thing that's bothering the ever-loving F out of me is, though, we know she's guilty! This doesn't work!
I know, right? Because she is the one who put the poison in the cup. She is the one who is guilty. Diana switched the cup. And, you know, Diana knew what she was doing, obviously.
No. PLD. Diana suggests to Charles they switch the cup.
That's true.
He himself, but also she put the poison in. So I'll use a little legalese term called but for. He would be alive, but for Lydia's actions. She is absolutely culpable. That is
100%.
Fully her.
100%.
This doesn't work. And the fact that she's alive at the end of this episode and they do what they do. Oh, I got feelings about Philip.
Oh yeah. I have feelings about Philip as well. It's we'll get there. But Lydia was tried and found guilty. I found it funny that I don't know why I found it funny, but the judge himself just had a funny, very human way of speaking. But he's like, I find Lydia, like had this shoulder thing. It just feels like this. I don't know. It just felt very human. When you're trying to be alien, it could be a little more alien. I just felt very human out of them. I don't know if that you don't want to say about that. Did you feel that, or am I just is that just me? Just the way he talked. He's like, well, it's like an old man, an old white man judge.
I didn't know what he was doing. You know, you're on an episode. You're trying to get people to remember you.
I guess.
I liked Joe.
I did.
Enough. Serviceable.
So we do get Donovan and Courtney next on horseback. And I want to ask you this right now. If you think like I think, do you think this whole episode was built around, hey, let's reuse the horseback fight scene. So let's get an episode with horses in it. And let's put Donovan on horseback because we need an action
And
beat
that was the
sequence.
right choice.
Was it? Was it the right
Yes.
choice? So
Yes.
because we honestly basically get Donovan horse for 2 seconds, and then we're watching the final battle again.
And that was the right choice. Were there some, issues with the editing? Yeah. Do I care? No. Why?
Was there a
Because
big
it's an
issue?
equestrian versus spaceship battle. And I love that when we finally cut back, because the ship goes back to the landing dock or whatever, Lieutenant James is like, how? He's on a horse. You're on a skyfighter. That's what I'm calling it. How do you... Why are you here? What? You're useless. That's not what he says verbatim, but that's what he's feeling.
Yes.
That's what he's exuding.
Okay. So editing 1, because we're in the final battle, all of a sudden Donovan has a laser gun in his hand. But he never uses it again. Also, this is a town where where the visitors and the collaborators are working together, and they have peace, supposedly, kind of like the open city. So why is a skyfighter flying around and just shooting at people on horses? And you're telling me, by the way, that's next forward when the Lieutenant James starts talking about it, that this skyfighter pilot from up in the sky sees Donovan and recognizes Donovan. They can't recognize Donovan when he's at the front gate of the LA legation, giving them mice to get into the base. But from a skyfighter up there on horseback, that's Mike Donovan.
Well, PLD, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good Donovan recognition. We each get one. You get one.
You're throwing Lee Brackett at me again. Okay, all right, fine. I brought Lee Brackett into it. I guess you could use Lee Brackett against me. And I'm sorry, but this is the worst way. So this is like the third kind of chase we had. He explodes into a biplane in final battle, and this one, the guy literally just doesn't see the rock formation coming up, and he flies into he's so caught on Donovan that he doesn't know that he's flying right into a mountain. What kind of pilot is this?
I mean, what's the eyesight on these lizards, you think?
There's no alarm, no highfalutin.
I mean, they're wearing contacts all day, you know what I mean? Like they gotta have some vision problems.
I guess so. I guess absolutely so. Okay. So that was the case. I mean, that's definitely a case of budget things going, okay, we need an action beat. Let's just plug this in. We'll save us money. We already have the footage for it. I do honestly wonder how much of the episode was built around that.
But hear me out. Equestrian battle. Horse v spaceship. Let's go. No, I wonder if they did set out all the footage and look at what realistically can we reuse. But I do like they actually considered it, and they made sure he was wearing the same jacket.
Yeah, and they put him on a white horse at least.
Yeah, I did think of that too. I'm like, is the horse the same color?
I hope, right? I will forgive him the one shot of seeing Donovan with the laser gun as well.
Yes, I was looking for that too.
Very
specifically. I'm like, is he gonna have the gun in one of these shots?
He absolutely is.
And he does. Yeah.
All right. So we jump back to the mothership. Diane and Lydia's about to be executed, and here we are. There it is. I told you. I kind of thought we had never saw it again. I forgot. We actually do have the disintegrator brought back up for the first time.
I didn't even catch that, to be honest.
They didn't use it, but that's what was going to kill Lydia. That was what was going to kill her. She was readying the disintegrator to kill Lydia.
Did not even remember that at all.
No. So I don't know if that makes Eliza's death any more worthwhile. No, it doesn't. But we did make that was our argument back today. Like if they had brought that weapon to become important, that could have been worthwhile. But it is at least brought back, but not for very long. We don't even get a chance to use it. We just kind of see it there. Meanwhile, we don't even get the chance to use it because in walks
Martin, but not
Philip,
his equally good twin. What a disappointment. disappointment.
Uh,
But I did write, oh my god. I was stunned, and then I was angry. So angry.
mhm, mhm.
Because did we talked about this before, right?
What part?
Them being twins.
Yes, yes, we talked about
Okay.
yes, we talked yes.
Okay,
And that was not
so
just before, that was on screen too. We couldn't wait to talk about it, so we talked about it on like, right at the beginning of the episode. So yeah.
yes, I
Uh,
just it's makeup, guys. It's
yeah,
makeup.
let's make up.
To quote the legendary Lee Brackett, I got a feeling you're way off on this.
You just looked up Lee Brackett quotes, haven't you? Now you're just looking at
No,
spurting
that
on
one
the
I
rest of
know, but they're
okay.
lined up in rows. I can't pull it.
Uh, what I did find more interesting about it when I tried to watch it again, because I watched the scene back again after I got over the whole zygote thing, or tried to. I found it interesting that Diana claimed that Martin had freed her and died a hero. I was like, okay, that's an interesting tactic. So Martin's not known as a traitor back home. He was only known as a traitor there. Like how, like that kind of blew my mind as far as logistic. I know why I'm dealing with logic, but like I would think that Martin was considered a grade A traitor like throughout the entire fleet at this point. But did that not make it home?
Oh, yeah. I forgot that he'd been working with the human because of the fifth colony had been exposed.
Yeah, because he saved Donovan, got him off the mothership and then they went and
Yeah, they
joined them in
didn't think that
Battle.
through. But
Right.
honestly, I mean, if I was binge watching that, I would have caught it. But watching it like week by week, I'll be honest, by this point, I forgot.
I mean, I guess it does make sense to a degree that maybe that kind of information doesn't make it home because it's not necessary to talk
Look
about.
how often these people are like, I'm gonna go tell the leader. I'm gonna
Right.
go tell the leader.
Right.
They'd have known.
I you would think so, but I'm guessing that's what they're going with because Philip seemed I mean, I gotta be honest, as much as I like
I
Frank
feel like
Ashmore,
they
Philip's an
also
idiot.
forgot.
Maybe that is the case. Maybe that's the case.
So I like the show. It was a soap opera, and they had filmed the show live every single day, 5 days a week, and it was
Right.
on the show for many years. So it came to a point where they said sometimes we'd forget what we would already have done, so we would go outside. There'd often be like fans of the show, and they would just ask the fans, "Did
Ah,
we do this before?"
what happened
Or,
last to this
"Hey, do you
character?
remember what happened to that character? We forgot."
That's funny.
See, they needed the internet.
They did do the internet would save a lot of that, absolutely. All right, well, Philip frees Lydia for now, pending the outcome of his investigation. Great. Um, all right, we go back to the Resistance.
Well,
Donovan, go
can
ahead.
I'm
Yeah,
so sorry.
no, go ahead.
It's like he's going to ensure that there's an impartial investigation because very
Right.
specifically that's what the leader wants. In big bold letters, I wrote, "But she freaking did it. The glove fits. Do not acquit."
I know. I mean, I get Philip having the investigation, fine. Have the investigation. You want to start the investigation anew. But why are you freeing Lydia? That I don't know.
I didn't understand any point of this whole thing, and I just found it very annoying. You know what? I started really positive on the episode, and I can tell you exactly why I'm positive on it because it's happening later. But like, I'm starting to feel a little bit getting towards your understanding of why you were so down on it, PLD. Now I'm mixed. I
It's
was so
funny
happy
because
before. Maybe it was the coffee biasing me.
you entered this episode saying you were gonna convince me, and here I am convincing you. It's all right because the good stuff happens at the end for you, and that's what'll pick you back up.
You
I'm
know what?
sure.
End on a positive note.
There you go.
See, they did a good writing thing. And I did find the quote. All right.
Okay, go ahead.
Families, children all lined up in rows up and down these streets. You're telling me they're lined up for a slaughterhouse?
Thanks, Julie. Thank you for your service, Lee, and thank you for your service, Lego. So delivering the quote. All right, we jump back to the Courtney Ranch. They're having a meeting, supposedly for all the people in the area to resist, and nobody shows up except for Joe, the one-legged vet, who is, that's kind of a disheartening thing when your only guy who shows up has one leg.
Hey,
kind of
they're not
discouraging thing.
so I think it's important to know that they're not there to fight per se. They're there to not pay taxes. I literally
Correct.
wrote, "We're doing a Boston Tea Party, bitches."
That's fair. That's fair.
So
Um,
they're just there because, like, this is only works for the cops if they collect the taxes. It's kind of like the mob enforcers taking
right.
money to protect restaurants or something, right? If everyone stands up and uniformly says we're not paying you the lizard tax, we will not let you feed our horses to aliens or what have you.
Eh,
Then they have no operating power. But then we get into a question of, well, then what happens to everyone as a whole? Like,
right.
is the town only safe because we're eating horses?
Right. And that's what it sounds like. It sounds like the visitors would have taken them over.
But
Maybe
I
they wouldn't
see,
have. They may not have bothered because it's such a small
I
town.
feel like if I was in a position of power, I'd just be really honest. See, this is how you don't get overthrown. Just like, listen, there's a higher power than me. They want to dine on, Mr. White
Horses,
Horse, who's unnamed. I wish I knew a name of a famous horse. All I can pull is like Black Spirit,
Trigger, Mr.
Black Beauty, Black
Red,
Beauty.
Black Beauty, Mr. Red, Trigger.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They want to eat Black Beauty over there, although the horse is white. I don't know what's happening. I lost the plot. But
Uh,
if they just want to eat your horses, it's fine. The whole town is safe. All you gotta do is give up the horse.
hmm. I mean, you're not wrong, but at the same time, these people love the horses. I don't know if they'll do it. Some of they wouldn't. I don't. I think they would fight you on that. Some of them would, and who'd get what we got
Well, Jordan
here.
Peele sure did, and thank goodness for it.
Absolutely. Um, so Donovan's supposed to be amping these people up, and it's
Well,
like,
he amped
okay,
up Joe.
definitely amped up Joe because he's a resistance. He actually, it's funny. He kind of gives the same speech that Julie gave in the original miniseries about any resistance starts with a small group of individuals and how it branches out. But he's like giving the Julie shtick to these guys, and it works. They all seem to agree to be resistance at the end of this.
Well,
At the end of
that's kind of a fundamental truth, isn't it?
it is, but it's reminding me a lot of, especially because it's the same show. It kind of
See,
reminded me
I
of the
was
same
already
thing.
like, all right, he needs to be smoking cigar and say, I love it when a plan comes together.
So he's Hannibal in this one. Okay, I get that.
Oh,
That makes sense.
100%. And also, I mean, I think I'm gonna no, I'll mention it later. Actually, never mind.
Okay. We're going to jump up back up to the mothership, and Philip decides that Lydia had no intention of killing Charles. I don't
Lindy, I'm so mad.
I don't get it. I mean, he's right in that she wanted to kill Diana, but it's still attempted murder, and it's still manslaughter. So either way, Lydia's still guilty, and Diana's not guilty of anything. So still, Lydia should go down, and yet Lydia's offered the famed sci-fi trope of trial by combat.
Callie Fee. So when Spock, he gets a bad case of Pon farr. Okay, he's the blood boiling. He's in heat like your cat, and he needs to have a marriage ceremony to Pring, so they can engage in Vulcan marital relations. It's a whole big thing. And
Yes.
interestingly enough, if you look at Vulcan, you'll see where they have this marriage ceremony is an exact replica of Stonehenge. So what does that tell
Mm,
us, right? Panspermia, it's a thing. Anyway,
mhm.
so the chosen person that you're supposed to marry because you have an arranged marriage can deny this, and they have combat. So Callie Fee is the combat, and they have to combat. So she chooses the person who fights for her, who is the one and only Captain James Tiberius Kirk, and they battle it out. And that's one of the most famous scenes from Star Trek. We have a replication of that here, except we get Lydia and
Glammed
Diana
up.
in the most ridiculous, sparkly outfits, wearing makeup that rivals Kiss. Kiss can go suck it. They are not Diana and Lydia. These women are I hesitate to say sexualized. They are just they are glam. They're
Glamorized.
glam
Oh
rock
gosh,
stars, and they
glamorized.
are battling with these big, like, I don't know, what are those, like staff spear
Stab
things.
things, spears. Yeah.
Exactly what Spock and Kirk were doing. And
Exactly. Oh, definitely drawn by. This is definitively the sci-fi tropes we were talking
I
about.
just wish that they'd had that, like, Star Trek music.
That
It
would have been
was
great.
similar, but it wasn't it.
That actually would have been great. You're not wrong there. Yeah, I heard this. I'm like, I remember watching this the first time I ever watched. I was like, oh, so Diana versus Lydia. It's about fucking time. I probably didn't say fucking because I was younger, but about time. Uh, and all right, so we will get there because that is the next sequence. But first, let's talk about them going back to Earth. We're in the sheriff's station again, and finally, something we've been asking for a long time.
I got questions.
Hot off the presses now, it seems. Hot off the presses. Like, these guys are just getting this. Most wanted by the visitors.
Oh, no. We have to mention that the cop keeps saying, I don't know. I recognize him. He seems familiar. Oh, hey, look at this.
Look
Just
at
came
this.
in. What a crazy random happenstance. Shoot on sight. Mike Donovan.
Possibly
Did it say Mike Donovan or Michael?
It says Mike.
I'm
Mike
so mad.
Donovan.
I'm so
Not even
mad.
Michael.
I'm
Just
so
Mike
aggressively
Donovan.
angry. I have so many questions.
And it's like a press shot.
My notes even just have a face. I don't even know what to do.
It's a press shot too. It's not like a mug shot. It's like a press shot pretty much of him.
I'm so mad. I'm so mad about it. It's not even like a sketch drawing, or it's not like his press pass or his driver's license picture or
This looks like a Mark Singer headshot.
An action shot of him that someone took, like Spider-Man style, so they could have it for the newspaper. So J. Jonah Jameson wouldn't get mad at him. I'm just like so aggressively angry about this. What? How? And they don't even have a picture. They don't get a picture of Kyle Bates. Kyle's fine. Or right. Julie Parrish.
Julie Parrish is in there, right?
Or Willie.
Ham Tyler.
Or Elizabeth.
Would have been a nice throwback to get Ham in there. And I guess I'm saying, like, trying to say, it's hot off the presses. Like, they're just getting this now. This is like a new packet of wanted posters. Like, they haven't had this for like 2 or 3 years now.
This doesn't pass the smell test, PLD.
Does not. It stinks. That's what this is. It stinks. But there it is. We finally got our wanted poster nonetheless. All right, so James,
I kind of want to see if I can find a PDF version and print it and hang it on my wall. Like,
perfect.
Ridiculous.
Oh, yes. That's when we jump. We actually get the James thing conversation we talked about earlier, where he's talking about the pilot and everything else. But this is where we actually didn't say that James decides to go down to the podunk town because they know that Donovan is down there. So James can go get Donovan himself. Then here we are, 27 minutes into this episode. And we finally see the rest of the resistance members at this point. This is where budgetary concerns comes in. Willie at the studio, of course, being Willie, falling through a balcony, and there.
Well, Elizabeth pushed him.
Elizabeth's Jedi powers. Oh, Elizabeth pushed Willie. That's what you're thinking. Push Willie to, and then saved him because he wanted to use her powers. Is that what it was?
Well, she was messing with it, right? Did I miss what happened? Like, she was messing with the powers, and then Willie stumbled back, and then she got him.
I didn't see that at all. I thought that Willie just tripped. I thought Willie actually just literally tripped into this like half-hearted. I mean, it's a movie studio, so it's kind of like I don't think it's an actual supposed to be a big railing. It's just wood there. I think Willie, just being Willie, tripped into this, knocks into the wood. It breaks, and he starts stumbling, about to fall. And Elizabeth's like, "Oh God, get the random mattresses out of there and throw like 500 mattresses, and Willie's gonna be fine."
I was more focused on the weird faces she was making. Maybe I misinterpreted the scene.
That's fine.
Could be a thing. I was taking notes.
Yeah, that happens. It does happen. Then we see Julie in the neck brace because she got injured, supposedly. We don't know when or how or where.
Off screen.
Mm-hmm. And I think, I don't remember, again, this is the result of us talking a little bit beforehand and not on screen. I don't remember if we mentioned this on screen or not. I do feel like this was a case of them slashing their budget. Like, we only have Julie in like 2 scenes here, and they're very quick scenes. I feel like she was only needed for 1 day. And I don't know how salary worked back then. I know you probably got a salary for being a regular series member. At the same time, I'm wondering if you got less if you had to shoot like 1 day versus 5 days. Because obviously this is a very Julie-lite episode. And quite frankly, it's still a little bit of a Willie Elizabeth light episode. They're in it a little bit more. It's almost like there was 3 tiers. You had Donovan and Kyle, who were there for most of the episode. You had Willie and Elizabeth, who were there for like the second half. And you had Julie, who basically was nothing more than a cameo.
But I also think like maybe she actually, like, the actress, was injured and only could
Potentially.
be there for, a day or so.
Potentially, but like I said, I got a spoiler alert for that
Yeah.
ahead. Next week's is a very Donovan light episode, which we're gonna see. So it's kind of a I don't like that. I mean, you've already cut the cast down so much. I don't know if saving at the budget is, I mean, worth it at this point. Like, what are you doing? I don't know. But either way, the resistance goes to help Donovan. And while we wait for that to happen, we jump back up and we get to see Diana and Lydia glamming it up. And I got to tell you, probably might be my favorite line in the entire show. When Lydia says, "I've never been defeated in Mortal Kombat." And Diana says, "Idiot. If you had, you'd be dead." And I don't know why I thought it so funny. Just like it was Diana's delivery. Like, because it's so true. Like, of course, you haven't been defeated in Mortal Kombat. You are an idiot, Lydia. I did like that.
I mean, sometimes some people aren't good at threatening. Yes, you're trying to threaten, and you got nothing on Diana, girl. Nothing.
Diana slapped her down like there's no tomorrow.
But I do want to mention that Kyle called Julie mom, and that kind of reinforced what I said earlier, that he was really kind of looking for a family situation, similar to Donovan. I'll get more on that later.
So Donovan and Mamuli? I don't know. We'll have to see what's going on. No. All right. Jumping back to the barn, we do get the aforementioned scene. Joe leaves, and Donovan and Jesse have their shared foster father, foster daughter moment.
He clearly wants a daddy.
Oh, yes,
And he mentions a son.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's his name? He's got one kid.
What's his name? That's true. I mean, she does ask him. She's asked him. Oh, no, he does actually said it first. He goes, "That's what I would do that's what I'd wish for my son." And then she asks him about it, and that's when he gets very. I will give credit where credit's due. Mark Singer does a pretty solid acting job in these scenes.
Oh yeah,
a couple of them,
definitely.
A couple of them where he has like really emotional moments, and he elevates the writing, which is not the greatest like dialogue. But he has some great facial expressions. And I really give credit where credit's due.
There's one thing that man does not lack is emotion and movement.
Yes.
I guess that's two things, but you get what I mean.
But I do like that he, in a show that gets very cheesy and gets very campy, he actually grounds it momentarily for bits and pieces. And I do appreciate that. I think he should be lauded for that, I think. Good work, Mr. Singer. My hat's off.
I concur. And then we get the Star Trek lady battle fight.
Yes, we do. And my God,
Diana was losing. I couldn't believe it. And Philip stops them. And when we learn why, I just want to say I'm so mad about it.
Worst decision.
And I would go so far to say to Philip is, damn you for making them stop.
Although I gotta tell you, Diana losing doesn't not make. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, Lydia is actually a military leader. She's a military leader who's trained in fighting. Diana's a trained scientist.
Fancy talk. Don't you come at me with your logic, with your reasoning. No. Diana needs to win.
Ham Tyler versus Julie Parrish. Who's going to win?
Okay, Ham, but
that's exactly the kind of same situation we got here. Look, I know you want Diana to win, and I get it. I want Diana to win
too. And she's underhanded.
Diana, I do love that Diana acts like she was going to win anyway.
She knows all the weak body parts, and she'll go for them. She's cutthroat. I make sense too.
Fair. I'm going to let you have it. I'm not going to battle with you on it. I mean, we both
I
know
think Lydia's got more rage
at this point, especially, yeah, because she's about to lose. She was about to lose and about to die, so she has this moment of I have momentum on my side now at this point because I actually murdered somebody and I'm getting away with it. I do like how Diana acted like she was winning the whole time. Anyway, He's like, I was moments away. It was a very typical. I was just about to make my move.
Girl, you lost.
Yeah.
Get over it.
But yeah, Philip doing that was very frustrating. It's going to get more frustrating as we go. I'm not going to lie. You wanted something that was not just episodic. This is actually a continuing story, and this is what we get.
I'm so mad. I'm so mad. So mad.
Okay, so we jump back down after your favorite part of the series, probably, and James lands in the Sky Fighter with a bunch of troops, and this whole sequence is exactly what you expect. It's backwoods, dumbly brackets. Sorry, dumbly brackets, basically having no idea what they're in for. Well over
Ran
their
out of
heads.
quotes, Fieldy.
Well over. I knew eventually I'd get you. And I do like James eating the big rat, though. I haven't gotten to see that, like something like that in a bit, and it was very, very well done. James took it in ease. But then we have the situation where Joe sees what's going on, drives back to the Courtney ranch to tell Donovan, and Courtney, or Kathy, tells Jesse, who of course runs off on her own. Jesse, of course, takes Joe's truck and runs off on her own to take care of business herself, because that's what kids do in these shows. They're dumb.
She's a strong, independent teenager with a gun. She doesn't need anyone to tell her what to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is why we don't let children have independence during wars.
Exactly. All right, then we come back. We get Willie, Elizabeth, and Kyle showing up. They meet Joe, and Elizabeth uses her Jedi powers.
Wait, this was another scene where I felt the editing was weird. So we have Joe and Jesse talking.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Joe is on the porch.
Mm-hmm.
Then we cut to Kyle, Willie, and Elizabeth pulling up immediately after that. And doors closed. He's not there. Clearly, some time has passed. So there should have been one of the previous scenes should have been spliced into there.
Agreed. And
we had
we had a commercial break there. That's what happened back in the day. I think that's where the commercial break was. Because if you watch it, you'll see it kind of fades out, and like for a moment, like there was like basically that's where the commercials were inserted. So when it came back from commercial break, that's when.
And this sounds like 20th century things.
Yeah, that's what it is. Back in my day.
I just wrote weird cut. Okay. Elizabeth has her power face. I didn't write the context of that. I just wrote Elizabeth Powers, she's making a weird face. Oh, and then he has the thing about the gun. He sounds like an old prospector.
That's what he does. That's what he sounded like, and that's what I expected from him the entire time. And I got to tell you, he has one of the worst line reads. I think although it's hilarious, I think it's an accidentally bad line read. Because Donovan and Kathy show up, and Donovan's like, happy to see Willie, Kyle, Elizabeth. Oh, great, great, great. And Kathy asks Joe, all right, so where's Jesse? And Joe's response, oh, it's my fault. Wait, what?
Context, sweetie. More words.
Keep going. What's your fault? Oh, Jesse took my van, and she drove. Why didn't you tell us this? Like as soon as you saw it, it's kind of like need to know now kind of stuff.
Urgency. Where's your urgency, man? I have a feeling you maybe had some brain damage too.
That could be. So then,
but I like the mom is Kathy's like, I gotta stop her, and then Donovan, no, we gotta stop her.
Remember the resistance.
Oh, I thought no. They're a family unit now.
That's what he says. He actually literally says, he goes, no, we've got to stop her. The resistance, remember?
Oh, I just didn't even hear that part.
It's so ultimately cheesy, and I love it. I love it so much.
I think I stopped listening. Sometimes I know I can't see my notes, but I made a little face, and I always know once I make a face, I'm really concentrating on my notes, trying to figure out what's happening.
Well, that's what it is. Yes, there's a little bit of family unit, but it's a little bit of Donovan this is Donovan saying, look, we're the resistance, remember? So we do things together now.
Yeah, it's the resistance. He's not falling in love with this redheaded, horseback riding badass. I fell in love with her too. I'm right there with you, Donovan.
Yeah, he does absolutely. So we jump back to Jessie has shown up, and with her shotgun, shoots out the Skyfighter's lasers. Didn't realize that was possible, but okay, all right, we're getting there. And man, it's very despite here's another not bad edit or bad timing script wise. Kathy shows up about 30 seconds after, but Jessie had far more of a head start than that. The time does not add up.
I mean, maybe it's a stick shift and she stalled.
Maybe that that's the only thing that makes sense. Maybe she stalled out and she had to go, but that could be. That's got to be it. Thank you for making that work for me. The enough said prize as Marvel would go. Either way,
she's like 12. She doesn't know how to draw a stick. Come on now.
That's fair. That's fair. And then we get our big plan. Kathy's going to turn in the horses, and Jessie's upset about it. But then, of course, she's not really going to give up the horses. The horses open up on the cops. It's Willie and Elizabeth breaking out like they're badasses because Willie and Elizabeth are always badasses, right? Then Donovan comes in equestrian style.
Yeah. I wrote he is full body hits. He flies, he kicks, he leaps, and his pants never rip. But there's a lot of bulge.
Oh yeah, it's a great swinging grab, flying tackle from the horse. But then I gotta say, Kyle makes a flying tackle off the roof.
And he gets 2 visitors. And one might go so far as to say, PLD, visitors die tonight.
That's good. I love that. Thank you for bringing that in for me as we go around the ropes here. But I gotta say, if you rewatch this scene, ever had a chance to rewatch this scene, my God, does it look like if it's Jeff Yeager or the stunt? I'm assuming it's a stunt double. The stunt double who dies off the roof, like face plants into the ground. Like he grabs the visitors, like he goes because he jumps off them and goes like this and tackles them. But like he goes down face first into the ground before the visitors come down with him. So I don't know how hurt this guy was. I've never heard anything about it. So what
you're saying is we watched a live death.
That's what it looked like to me. I'm like looking like, oh, that really must have hurt. And I do think it was a stunt double because they did the old Texas switch. Like they showed Kyle on the roof, and then all of a sudden the next thing is Kyle in the air, and then they switch and Kyle's on the ground. So it's one of those old switcheroos to hide the stunt double of it. Mark Singer did his own stunts.
I mean, how could he not? Who would be that man's stunt double? No one could fill those pants like Mark Singer.
Absolutely not. So we go, I always tell you guys, I kind of watch in the background while we're talking. I just got to that moment after Donovan knocks out James briefly against the cop car. The visitor gets up, one of the visitors that Kyle knocked down with his laser rifle, shoots at Donovan. Donovan, like it goes over his head and like hits the gun, or hits the siren, or the lights rather than the police car. He does like a 360 jump around in the air to dodge the laser that he didn't even need to do. But I don't know. It's so
Didn't need to do. Of course he needed to do a PLD. That's Donovan. Okay.
It is I'm going to say it is a thing of beauty. I will say that. And then he gets up and runs and jumps like over somehow off the top of his visitor. Oh, it's a great fight sequence for Mark Singer. This is what I live for in V now is the Mark Singer action sequences at this point. That's my heart and joy right there. As James decides to run away like a coward, goes up into the Skyfighter and flies off.
Sure. Why not?
I wish James had a little more good spot to him or something. I would like to have seen an enemy with a little more of a character to him, a little more of a
I don't know. He's just he bawled that guy out because he couldn't shoot a man on a horse. And
running away.
What? 5 people? 6 people?
You have troops. You have troops with laser rifles, and you can't, and cops on your side, and you can't take out Donovan. Okay, I get that. Kyle. Okay, maybe he's trouble. Kathy's a little bit of trouble, but you got a 16-year-old girl, a one-legged vet, a,
Willie.
a doula, a 2-year-old girl who, okay, admittedly with Jedi powers. Like, I don't know. Like, it just seems like such a ridiculous. That's the whole idea of the visitors now. V now is that the resistance is like cut in half, and they can still beat the Empire. I was going to say the visitors, some kind of alien army they are.
Just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
So we go back into the Courtney Ranch, and suddenly, by the way, now the resistance is all good, even though nothing has changed except for Joe is there. Donovan's happy leaving them there now by themselves. I mean, I guess Kathy might be in charge of the town now because the cops are taken care of. I don't know. But it felt kind of like, okay, so what exactly did you do, Donovan? You rah-rahed them for a bit. You defeated James off. I guess you got rid of Roland, maybe. I guess that's enough.
I mean, the news of what happened is going to spread throughout the valley, and the people are going to hear, and they're going to rise up, and they're not going to drink tea or pay taxes. I should maybe reread what happened.
Oh yeah, probably. I will say
lizard tax.
Lizard tax. It does no horses without representation. At least we do get another kind of a well thought out scene or well acted scene by Donovan when Jesse tells him not to go, and Donovan is like, I don't really want to go, but he needs the resistance needs him. But
this man, Jesse's like, doesn't want her to go. This man says, "Sweetheart, I have a job to do." He hugs her, gives her a forehead kiss. Dude, you're this little girl's dad now. You officially adopted her. How dare you leave, you son of a bitch. I get it, it's war.
It is war.
And I will say this about Julie Parrish. She's no Kathy Courtney.
I gotta
I'd
give you
stay with her.
Kathy Courtney is. I get it. I get the attraction there. Kathy Courtney is a badass, absolutely. And I get, what, honestly, being tired of the war lifestyle might be a nice thing to kind of retire to a ranch, so to speak. That might be a fun thing. He obviously loves horses, so maybe this would have been great for him. But he's got to continue on with our show. He does.
They all could have gone into the resistance.
That's true. Oh, yeah, I could have.
Listen, at this point, let's just all move to Antarctica. It's fine. They won't go there.
That's true. I did find it, like, amusing. Donovan gets in the van. You actually get to see the van drive away, and you see Donovan in the back window, like looking out as they're leaving. It was a very, very touching moment. Very touching moment.
Like, this episode was very much a Western.
Yes.
And I wonder, are the rest of them?
No. I would. Well.
So it's just a random genre episode.
Yeah, the next one actually has some Western aspects to, except for no equestrian stuff, pretty much. I think that might be the last equestrian. I'm sorry to say. I think I could be wrong. I think some things are surprising me, but there's definitely a very out in the bodunks kind of story next time as well.
Yeah.
So
okay,
I'll give you that.
They should have done a war episode. Oh.
And okay, so we get back out to Mothership. Here we go. Philip invokes the Interguardian rule, which I actually kind of like that rule. That's kind of a cool rule. You don't see too much of the Brothers Keeper kind of thing. You don't get that. It's a science fiction trope, but it's a nicely story put into play here, where if Diana kills Lydia, Diana's going to die. If Lydia kills Diana, Diana's going to die. Or even if Diana dies by accident, Lydia's going to die, kind of thing. So it makes two enemies take care of each other. I like that in theory.
Hate it.
Do you? Okay. All right.
Not my thing. Just let Diana kill Lydia already. They're so annoying. I don't like them on screen together. I don't like any of the plots they got. It's just no. But I think Philip's up to something, and I can't wait to find out what.
Well, we don't have wait long to go. There's only a few episodes overall left. This is the
Do we
14th.
find out, or will the answers forever be lost in the abyss of time?
Uh, partially, I think. I think it's a
But
partial
also, what's
answer.
important to learn in this moment is that Diana reports to Lydia, and Lydia reports to Philip, making Philip the head of the mothership over Los Angeles.
Right. So basically, we replaced Charles with Philip, Duncan Regier with Frank Ashmore.
Mixed feelings. Like
Mixed feelings to
I
degree.
like the actor. I like both the actors, but Charles just had a gravitas. But then Philip, I don't know.
There's an air of mystery
Intrigue.
there, though. There's an intrigue there. So there's definitely story there, obviously, with Martin's history.
History, yeah.
So you do get a little bit of that in there, kind of as it's coming up. We only have, what, 15, 16, 17, 18, 5 visual episodes left, and then the unscripted finale. So we're getting there. We're getting there. After now we finished, where are you now? Are you still trying to convince me it was a better episode, or have I won this trial? Have I won this Mortal Kombat trial?
PLD, there was a horse fight with a spaceship and a Star Trek battle wherein Diana and Lydia dressed up like members of Kiss and fought each other. I love it.
Okay. All right. All right. There you go. There you have it. Like I said, I did not like it, but I did have fun with it. And I had fun with exactly those moments you mentioned. And I do give credit where credit's due for Mark Singer giving a performance that the show probably didn't deserve at times. But there we go. All right. Got next week's episode is, like I said, a Donovan light episode. And it's not my favorite. I'm not going to lie. Again, of the ones we have left, this is another one of my least favorites. It was this one, next week's one, and not the one after that, but the one after that, which is called War of Illusions, I think. We're going to find out either way.
What of Illusions? The Clive
I think
Barker
it's-
movie?
No, not Lord of Illusions, War of I think it's
Oh.
called War of Illusions.
Never mind.
No, I wish it was Lord of Illusions. That would be cool. Because War of Illusions has quite possibly my least favorite character of the entire show.
Is it Sideshow Bob?
I wish it was Sideshow Bob. Let's just say I almost wish Robin came back.
PLD.
I know. I'm really hyping this down for you. I know.
I got a feeling you got to be way off on this one.
Maybe I am, but I mean, he does a lot of damage in one episode. So let's just say if we do our rankings like we plan to do, or our ranking of V characters, which we're going to do after we do.
Are we naming the F tier after this person?
This might be, I was going to say the Robin tier, but it might have to be the Robin and this character tier. It might have to be. We'll have discussions after the episode is over, and we'll go from there. But yeah, he is. All right, so that's coming up. That is coming up. That is next time here on reView. Thank you so much for listening. If first time here, look at like, subscribe, comment, do all the things. Audio, like us, give us 5 stars, etc., etc., etc. You can join us on Patreon at patreon.com/PLD Project with such people as Oscar Goodell, Brandon Buckingham, Jeff Alterman, a bunch of different cool people like that. If you can't, get that too. But if you want to help the channel, share us, let people know we're out there. And Lego, where can the folks find you?
I can be found at Legoland13 on YouTube, and all of my social media is linked up top from there because it's easier, because it's hard to spell. You can also be found on the Rob Fishbeck Network every other Thursday, wherein we talk about weird and hopefully entertaining topics related to pop culture.
Yeah, and it's great. I love watching you guys do that. If you're watching this when this airs, I was on the episode last week, unless something happened that I don't know about between now and then. This is one of those kind of, I'm in the past, you're in the future. We're going to meet in the middle for Rob Fishbeck's anniversary episode, the Rob Fishbeck Network. But yeah, that should be a lot of fun. But yeah, and you can find me here at Paul_Denuzio on Twitter. You can find me PLD Projects on different places as well. You can also find me all over this channel. Obviously, I do Crown Jewels, my Queen podcast every week. That's on my sister YouTube channel, PLD Project Crown Jewels, all on the same audio feed. I do a weekly podcast with Maddie Gunner for Star Wars called Holy Snokes. And then PJ Campbell and I have 2 podcasts we do. Every other week, we do 2 Mediocre White Dudes on Film. Just finished our Jason Goes to Hell episode. That was something. That was definitely something. But we got past the hump. We got past the hump.
But you know what you have next.
We got past the hump of Jason Takes a Cruise and Jason Goes to Hell. Now we get rewarded by getting to see Jason Goes to Space because we both love Jason X. And I can't wait to talk about that for sure. That is our next one. And Big Blue Box, me and PJ doing Doctor Who, so we can take it out of all of our beginnings of 2 Mediocre White Dudes on Film and put that all in our Doctor Who podcast as it were. So I think that should do it, folks. Until next week, I guess. As always, pray Tanama. Take care, guys.